All right, let's get right into it. What if an AI could do more than just predict what's going to happen? What if it could actually uncover the fundamental rules that make things happen in the first place? Well, that's exactly what we're talking about today. This is PDE-Net 2.0, an AI designed to be a kind of detective for the universe's hidden laws. Just look at this image. You're seeing the beautiful, complex chaos of fluid dynamics. Now, for hundreds of years, the only way to understand something this messy was for a human genius to sit down and figure out the deep underlying physics. But what if? What if we could just show an AI all of this data, all of this beautiful chaos, and have it tell us the secret rule that's running the whole show? So to really get what this AI is doing, we first need to talk about what it's even looking for. It's on the hunt for what you might call the universe's hidden laws. And believe it or not, these laws are written in a very specific language, the language of partial differential equations, or PDEs. Now, don't worry about the fancy name. The easiest way to think about a PDE is like the source code for reality. It's the core set of instructions that tells a system how to behave, how heat spreads through a room, how a wave moves across the ocean, or how a fluid swirls and eddies. You know, the classic way of doing science is to build these equations from the ground up. A scientist takes fundamental principles they already understand and uses them to piece together the rules for something more complicated. And this works spectacularly well for things like quantum mechanics or fluid dynamics, where we have a really solid foundation to build on. But here's the catch. What do you do for systems where we don't know the basic principles? I'm talking about the mind-boggling complexity inside a single living cell, or the wild, unpredictable swings of the stock market, or even the storm of neurons firing inside our own brains. For these new frontiers, we don't have the rulebook. It's a total mystery. And this is where the whole game changes. If we can't get to the rules from pure theory, maybe, just maybe, we can crack the code using data. I mean, let's face it, we are absolutely swimming in data these days. Thanks to incredible sensors and massive computer simulations, we can watch these complex systems with a level of detail that was unimaginable just a short time ago. It's kind of like having this enormous, sprawling crime scene that's just packed with clues, but we have no idea what crime was even committed. And that brings us to the really big question, the one that's driving so much of this research. Can we actually work backward? Can we take all of those clues, all that raw observational data, and reverse engineer the fundamental law that created it in the first place? And this is where our protagonist enters the scene. To solve this kind of data-driven mystery, you don't just need an AI, you need a new kind of AI detective. Now, there are different styles of detective work here. Older methods, well, they were kind of like a detective who shows up with a massive phone book listing every possible suspect in the city. They'd build this huge library of mathematical functions and then check every single one to see which combination fits the data. It could work, sure, but it was slow and took up a ton of memory. PDE-Net 2.0 is way smarter. It's more like a modern profiler, building a picture of the culprit directly from the evidence itself. It learns the structure of the hidden equation as it goes, which makes it way more flexible and a whole lot more efficient. And here's the really crucial part, the big idea. PDE-Net 2.0 is so powerful because it learns two things at the same time. It learns what the terms of the equation are, things like velocity times the rate of change in velocity. But it also learns how to best measure those terms from the noisy real-world data. So it's learning the law and the best way to investigate it, all at once. So how does this AI detective actually do its job? How does it conduct its investigation? Let's take a look at its methods. Okay, so the AI has two main tools in its kit. First up, you've got these learnable convolution filters. The best way to think of these is like a set of high-tech, magical magnifying glasses. But here's the cool part. Instead of having a fixed magnification, each lens actually learns the perfect way to look at the data to spot specific things, like how fast something is changing or how steep a curve is. Then you've got SymNet. This is the detective's brain. It takes all the little details spotted by those magnifying glasses and intelligently pieces them all together to build the final, clean mathematical equation. And here's how that process works in practice. First, the AI observes a snapshot of the data, the clues. Then it uses its special magnifying lenses to analyze all the changes happening. After that, the SymNet brain steps in to figure out the formula that's governing everything. Using that formula, it predicts what the system will look like just one tiny fraction of a second into the future. And then It just does it all over again. It takes its own prediction and repeats the whole process, stacking these little time steps one on top of the other to see far, far into the future. Now, that all sounds great in theory, but does our AI detective actually solve the case? Let's see what happened when they put it to the test. The researchers gave PDE-Net 2.0 a classic whodunit to solve, the 2D Burgers equation. This is a really famous equation in fluid mechanics. It's complicated enough to be a real challenge, but we also know the exact answer, so it's the perfect benchmark. They created a bunch of data using this equation, they even threw in some random noise to make it more realistic, and then they just handed the data to the AI, without any hints about the original rules. And this is it. This is the big aha moment. This table shows you the real correct values in the equation on one side and what PDE-Net 2.0 discovered all by itself on the other. Just look at how incredibly close these numbers are. For a term that should be exactly -1, the AI found -0.979. For another that should be 0.05, it found 0.052. This is amazing. It basically reverse engineered the secret law almost perfectly just by looking at the data. Seeing the numbers is one thing, but seeing the result is something else entirely. On the left, you've got the real, true evolution of the system over time, and on the right, that's what PDE-Net 2.0 predicted would happen, using the equation it just discovered. I mean, come on, they're practically identical. The AI didn't just find the equation, it can actually use that equation to predict the future with stunning accuracy. This graph really just drives the whole point home. It's showing you the prediction error over time. That blue line, that's an AI using the old method with fixed magnifying glasses. But the orange line, that's our detective, PDE-Net 2.0, with its smart, learnable lenses. And as you can plainly see, the orange line stays way, way lower. Its error grows so much more slowly, which proves its predictions are way more accurate in the long run. And this all boils down to a really important insight from the researchers themselves. They said, for inverse problems, it is better to learn both the PDE model and its discretization simultaneously. Right, what does that mean? Basically, to solve the mystery, it's not enough to just discover what the hidden law is. You also have to learn how is the best way to examine the evidence. That's the secret sauce here. So, what's the big picture here? What does all of this really mean? Well, this isn't just about a clever new algorithm. It really points to a whole new future for scientific discovery. The real takeaway here isn't just that we can make better forecasts, it's that this could represent a fundamental shift in how we do science. We might be moving from a process that's purely driven by human theory to one where AI can help us pull out fundamental truths directly from what we observe. Think about what that means for all those mysterious frontiers we talked about: biology, finance, neuroscience. We now have a potential new partner in our quest for knowledge, an AI that can wade through mountains of data and help us find that hidden source code that we've been searching for all this time. And that really leaves us with a pretty incredible question to ponder. For centuries, we've used our own minds to uncover the laws of planets and particles. Now, with AI detectives like this joining the search party, what hidden law of nature will we discover next?